Not so much.
No, but you're live.
Hey, everybody. Jordan, we're good to go, man. We're live here on our show. It is the U.S. Open week, guys. At least that's why I'm here for a couple of minutes. And we're going to be talking. I don't know if you guys are watching, but I happen to just catch on. And Aaron Wise, if you guys are a fan, he was in a good live spot too. He just whiffed the ball and took double on 5. So we're gonna talk some U.S. Open. We've got some matchups going off soon. Ben, why don't you give us a recap though quickly of what Justin Rose did yesterday?
Yeah, it was good. Well, what he did was pretty simple. When you make all the putts, and I'm really heavy on him. I was glad to see that. It's going to have to shore up. You could get away. We saw Scott Piercy. We saw Rose. You could get away with missing greens, missing fairways a little bit more. I think even though this is a lot easier than everyone thinks, slowly it's going to morph into what we expected. So you better shore that up quickly if you hope to hang around on this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning, boys. Just want to chime in here. I think we are up and running now.
Okay.
We are live. It is the Awesemo Odds betting show. Jason, thanks for picking it up there. It's June 14th. It's U.S. Open weekend. So, of course, we have Jason on to talk some golf. Appreciate you coming on. Of course, we have Ben Raza as always. Boys, you already jumped into the U.S. Open.
Yeah, had to. Sorry, I'm just too excited.
It's an exciting weekend for everybody. First thing I wanted to ask you guys is I wanted to get your general impressions on yesterday. It seemed like the scoring was pretty low, at least in the morning wave, and then the weather and the wind got a little bit tougher and the scoring wasn't quite so good. What were your general thoughts on day one, looking back on it? Let's start with you, Jason.
Yeah, so Justin Rose, 22 putts through 18 holes. Let's let that sink in for a second. That's insane. 14 one putts, no 3 putts. And his scrambling was ridiculous. I really don't think we're going to see that type of round. Now, could Rose go out and shoot 6 under again today? Yes, he's an excellent ball striker, and he was terrible ball striking yesterday. So that does excite me about the field, though, coming into him a little bit. The one that I'd be really watching out for, honestly, was Ricky Fowler. Ricky Fowler is statistically a fantastic putter and gained no strokes putting yesterday and still is tied for second right now. So, man, if he can get hot and those irons can stay hot, definitely looking at him maybe getting across the hump. Of course, we got Tiger and Spieth playing with Justin Rose right now in the course, so certainly a lot going on.
Ben, what about you? What do you think, I guess, of the course in general? Was it playing a little bit easier than we thought? Just guys putting up better scoring in the morning?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was way easier, and it definitely affected – not that this is – it's not an excuse because I like where everything is, but you saw a lot of guys who have scrambling issues that weren't punished as much as they will be because they didn't need to scramble as much. They're able to control the ball out of the rough. It wasn't, super punishing. Obviously, certain spots were bad, but we saw guys, I mean, Brooks in particular, I know he's an unbelievable player. He was missing pretty much every shot, and he was hanging around 2 and 3 under. Like, you do that when it's brutal. You're bogeying every hole. That wasn't the case. We'll see today. Obviously, it's early. It looks like it's playing a little tougher right off the bat. So I have a feeling slowly, and then the weekend's going to be a whole different course.
Yeah, they've gotten, Jordan, just to top on what Ben just said, they've gotten so much rain in that area, and you're kind of close here. I guess not that close, but so much rain, and the course is so wet. And what that does is it obviously makes the greens so much easier to chip on. You can fly the ball all the way to the hole. You're not going to get the green speed at 14 or 15 like you're used to seeing at the U.S. Open. Now, after today, could we see them not water the greens at all and try and get them as dry as possible for Saturday, Sunday? Yeah, and I think that the winning score could end up at like 8 or 9 under. Ben and I talked about that exactly on Wednesday, saying, hey, look, they could go post some good numbers the next 2 days. And then all of a sudden, once the cut is done, the USGA just say, you know what, okay, it's time. We're going to throw the worst pin positions today, and we're going to basically let the golf course go and see what happens.
Yeah.
That could bring the course right back down. That could make it a lot more fun. So, yeah, it's a 7,000-yard course, and if it's wet and you're putting the ball in the fairway, you're going to score. And that's what Ricky Fowler did yesterday. Justin Rose and Xander Schauffele, on the other hand, they made everything. It was insane.
Ridiculous. But
Yeah, and you bring up that what it plays as, I think, the shortest course that they play all year, or for sure one of the shortest courses.
Yep.
So when the weather does cooperate, like you guys were saying, we are going to see lower scores, but maybe that changes going into the weekend. It's too early, I think, already this morning. For once, we have golf on the West Coast again, so we're not halfway through the full round at this point.
Yeah, we got a lot of golf to talk about right now.
What do you guys think about primetime golf tonight? Pretty exciting.
I don't know if I have the energy. I sweats at like 9 p.m. I can't even handle that. But
I will say I was stressing. Obviously, I make it pretty clear I'm a big Spieth fan, and watching him yesterday at 9 o'clock, I couldn't go to bed for so long. I was so mad all day. But it's different, obviously, for us out here getting the 9:30 showing. I mean, the field didn't finish until 11 p.m. I mean, you had to wait for a long time if you wanted the full stats for the day. So it is, I guess, a little bit different. But obviously, that'll change on the weekend. It'll be done about 8:30 here. So for Sunday night, for Father's Day, that's gonna be great. Hopefully, I got a shot.
Yeah, that's going to be quite a Father's Day gift at prime time. We won't have a Game 7, which we'll talk about later, but we will have golf. We'll have some other cool stuff. So who else stood out? You guys mentioned, obviously, a lot of the top names who are at the top of the leaderboard. Anybody else stand out who played well, maybe didn't score as well as the stats indicate?
So we were talking right before the show, and the guy for me is Bryson, actually. He was pretty controversial coming in. He was down on DraftKings, been not playing well. Went out yesterday and he looked really good. Looking right now, he's 50-1 still. He's only a handful of shots back. Obviously, he has to go out there in the afternoon and execute. But that's someone I think we'd all acknowledge if the form was a little better. This guy's won, he ripped off 4 or 5 victories in a short span. The talent is there. It's just the game hasn't been. So I think after Memorial and seeing that first round, that's the kind of guy that I'm looking to attack at a price like that with a good start.
Yeah. How about you, Jason? Anyone jumping out?
Yeah. So it's really interesting. I'm looking at the odds right now, and they're just giving Brooks Koepka so much credit. He's 19-4 right now. So, 4-1, 5-1, somewhere in that range. That to me, he's 2 back. He's not playing great. It's insane. I'm really liking that 30-1, 40-1 area of Matsuyama, Rahm, Woodland, DeChambeau. I think they all played. Rahm definitely played a little bit better than his score. He putted pretty good. Woodland ball striking was great. Matsuyama ball striking was great. So I think you're going to get a lot of value out of those 3 guys that are 4 back right now. Justin Rose, I'm looking to the screen to the left, is in trouble on 2 or on 11, his second hole. So I think those guys got a chance, and I think you're getting good value. I mean, pre-tournament, they were those, and now you're getting them only 3 shots back. Yeah, I like where Ben's thought is. I think they all played well, and we've got a long way to go. So I think you're getting good value.
Yeah, there's a couple of the guys I want to ask you both about, but first I want to see who, conversely, who did you see out there who really struggled, put up a really bad score that surprised you, I guess, number one, and then is there anybody kind of in that boat you think can turn it around today and make the cut and get into the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the guys, if you're going real deep, obviously he's on the course right now. He birdied the first with bogey seconds. Cantlay. I mean, the guy just tore up Memorial, and he's 100-1 right now. The other guy that I would tell you to look at would be Jordan, but they still have him at 18-1, and he's even par. So that's not even he's 6 back or maybe about to be 5 back, but still, I would like him to be somewhere else. I don't know. Dustin Johnson is a guy that why did he shoot even par yesterday when all these other guys that have similar games, but he's only 19-1. So I guess, Jordan, to answer your question, there's a few guys, but in the value in betting, I don't think it's there.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Thomas didn't look good. Certainly not a consideration for betting. I don't think he has a chance, but I could see him. He better grind back today and make this cut. He rebounded, and he's still, he says the wrist isn't an issue. I believe that. It's still some rust there. If I was going to take a really aggressive line, Jason just echoed, you got to look for I know they're different players, but you have some guys that even who are like, still pretty short prices. Then you have someone like Tommy Fleetwood who, he didn't look great yesterday. He's 100-1 though. This is a guy who we know one of the most erratic in terms of he can go crazy low. We've seen that at US Opens when he almost caught Brooks basically by posting and then letting the field come back. So what I think, if we all agree that the course is going to get let go, you might want to target someone who goes out early tomorrow, shoots 1 or 2 under. If all the leaders come back to the pack, you're going to move up simultaneously.
Absolutely. Great point. One last thing on the the betting, Jordan, of guys that played really well yesterday, sitting inside the top 5. He's got the worst odds to win out of anybody in the top 5 right now, I think, and that's Emiliano Grillo. And I'll be honest, Ben and I talk about Grillo all the time. He's a great ball striker. 80-1 right now. I feel like that is pretty good value. Ben, what do you see there? As Spieth just birdies his second hole as well.
Oh
Make
boy.
a
Charge.
Grillo's one of those players that I think it's important that the course stay as calm as possible because his efficiency is scrambling. If they really turn up the heat, like Chesson Hadley's up there. I'm a Chesson Hadley guy. I don't think in any way if they turn it up, he can hang around just because he's not a great scrambler, and you're going to need that. So if Grillo can keep doing his thing, he looked great yesterday. But I also think him, Scott Piercy, those types, you couldn't ask for better conditions for their skill set.
Yep, that's a great point.
So we've gone, I think, about 20 minutes. I think we're contractually obligated to mention Tiger. So he shot obviously 1 under yesterday, and of course his value is never going to be there. He's like 9 or 10-1 to win the tournament. But just
and
curious,
he just made birdie too. Yeah,
and he just made birdie. So yesterday he's all over the place. Only hit half the greens in regulation, but his putter was on fire. Right? You mentioned Justin Rose total putts, but Tiger had 25 putts, which is pretty impressive. What are your thoughts? Does Tiger? I mean, he's in contention. Obviously, people are going to be talking about Tiger. What are you guys thinking, Jason?
Yeah. So Justin Rose continues his hot putting as we talk live, makes another 9-footer for par, so it leads it's at 6. But all right. So with Tiger, first 2 holes today looked really good. Fairway, middle of the fairway, 10 feet on both of them. Missed it on 10. So obviously he knew the irons didn't look good yesterday, and that double cross that he hit on 5 was atrocious. I think he even said it might have been one of the worst double crosses of his career. It was so bad. He was setting up for like a 10-yard cut and hit a 15-yard draw. I mean, it's reminiscent of when I try and do stuff like that. You know, I'm not a great golfer. I'm okay. But anyways, still, it was that was his worst swing. It was the double. If you take that hole out, he's top 5, and now he's only 2 back with the birdie he just made. So yeah, Tiger's right in it, but you're never gonna get value on him. You know what I mean? Not anymore, at least. The Masters 14-1 was probably the best value you'll ever get on Tiger ever again.
It's true. You know, he's always a slow starter. That's the thing with Tiger. He knows what he's doing. Unlike some of the guys we talked about, I think the harder it plays actually benefits him. You know, he knows how to kind of hang in there and strategize and work his way through it. So maybe attack him in some 3 balls or head-to-head here and there. There's some ways to get value, but yeah, in the outright market, it's just always inflated regardless of the result.
Yeah, another guy who I feel like used to be inflated, but now when I'm looking at his future or his outright odds, it jumped out to me, and I liked him going into it, and I think you guys hit on it a little bit in your shows during the week, but obviously Phil won here already this year. He can scramble as good as anybody. Is it crazy to look at Phil? I'm seeing 190-1 right now to win this thing.
Yeah, I'd rather honestly, I think maybe Ben will echo this, maybe not. I would maybe look at just betting him against Dustin Johnson in the second round for plus 147 rather than burn the 190. He's missed so many cuts. He's missing fairways. Again, yesterday he got it to like 2 under, I think, and just blew up, which is what he's been doing. And yeah, I don't know, Jordan. I think I'm out on that. I know 190 is a massive number, but I'm out.
He missed a 1-footer yesterday, which is absurd.
Yeah, I watched that. Oh yeah, that's good. I forgot to bring that up. Yep.
You know, with Phil.
I think I could have made that putt. I don't know.
Even I could make that putt, and I don't golf. So, you know, what can you say? The problem with him is he can't sustain. He has flashes. He's a great showdown type of play. He's a weekend golf kind of guy.
Yeah.
72 holes. It's just he gets a couple of Phil holes, and at a place like this, you can't have those. It's just impossible to recover. He hasn't done that yet, though, for what it's worth.
I just worry he's trying to hit too many bombs out there.
Yeah, you know him. Yesterday he caught, and this happens. A lot of guys are catching, fortunate, but he could have been in bad spots a couple holes, and he weaseled out. He is an incredible scrambler. Just have a hard time not seeing a couple bad numbers on that card when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Again, another guy that I like going in is Jason Day, and he was I think got it to 2 or 3 under yesterday, and then kind of gave a few back. What have you guys seen from him?
50-1. So I think
Yeah.
that which is good. It's not bad value for a guy at 1 under. And again, Justin Rose is not like he's tearing it up out there. Another missed green. He's in the bunker here on 13. Or they're on 12. Sorry, they're on 12. So yeah, I think that anybody is in play. That's for sure. And the thing with Day, he's got Stevie Williams on the bag, which obviously we know his history with Tiger, and Adam Scott for that matter. So, yeah, I think that if Brooks goes out and plays bad today, then those numbers are going to dissipate by the time they tee off this afternoon. So I think that Jason Day, that 50-1, I think, like I said, I don't mind throwing a little Grillo. One more name at 60 to Mark Leishman also at 55-1. He sits at 2 under, and he's been tested in majors a little bit. What's Paul Casey doing today? Because he's back and obviously healthy and playing. He's at 60-1. I know he started at 1 under today, but I haven't seen him on the screen yet.
Yeah, he hasn't done much. Where is he on the list here? He's even through 4 holes. So another name. I think basically that's the range. It's just about finding, there's 10 guys in there. You pick 3 or 4. For me, Bryson would top the list. Day is very interesting too. And I base it mostly off trying to project the conditions, because if it's going to be like this, someone like Grillo, I think, is great play. If it's going to be absolutely brutal, somebody, more apt to scramble and kind of hold it together would be where I'd want to go. Like Rahm, if he can attack all 4 days, sign me up.
Yeah.
If he has to scramble and avoid blowups, I don't think that this is the best fit for him.
I do have a buddy who's out there. Maybe I can get some inside info.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need that inside on the ground.
I will say it sets up and looks the course. It looks like the wind is up a little bit, right? And if the wind continues to be up for the next 24 hours, then the weekend will definitely be more like we're used to with the U.S. Open and Pebble. I'm not going to say that the winning score is going to go back to even par or anything like that, but I think that we'll get a little bit of a retracement from the field on tomorrow. That overall, first of all, the scoring average yesterday was 72.5, so it was over par. Mm-hmm. I think that the scoring average tomorrow, I think they should hopefully shoot for something like 73.5. That'll bring everybody into the mix.
Yeah, I saw the afternoon wave, I think, was a full stroke higher, or a little bit more than a full stroke higher than the morning. So we'll kind of see how that plays today. Have you guys looked at any matchups that stand out to you? We do have the benefit that a lot of golfers haven't gone off yet, or more than usual for sure. So that helps.
I got to ask Ben about one. Friend of the show, and Ben does a show on Tuesdays with Timothy Frank. Loves Brendan Todd, has a history with him. He's going up against Luke Donald today. Do you do anything? What's Tim doing? Is he betting that one or what?
I don't know. That's a rock fight. That is such an interesting group. You got Luke Donald, Brendan Todd, and Mike Weir. Not exactly murderer's row out there, but there's some, for me, you're looking at these 3 balls, obviously got to look who scored a little better than they played and vice versa. One that stood out for me, you got Martin Kaymer, Zach Johnson, Ernie Els. Zach Johnson plus 150 against those 2. I know Keimer's playing a little better. I don't think Els, could he play okay? Yeah, but if it's tougher, I think he's kind of out. It's a 2-horse race. And for me, Keimer versus Zach Johnson is a little toss-up. I would actually give the edge to ZJ. So at plus 150, I have no problem backing him in tougher conditions where I think he just does his thing and Keimer maybe falls back to the pack.
It's a great point because they're even on the matchup, so might as well go pick the juice because I can't see Ernie Els beating either of them. So that's a great call.
Yeah. Are there any, Jason, that jump out to you?
Yeah, so that one was a fun one, but Justin Thomas versus Kevin Kisner. Again, the book that I use gives you a half a stroke line. It's minus 135. There's no way Justin Thomas is going to lose to Kevin Kisner today. He's been playing. I know, right? So that's a line that I looked at. Also, Ricky Fowler versus Jason Day. If you think Ricky gets hot with the putter and Jason Day struggles today, that's actually not a bad line. You're getting plus 105 for Ricky Fowler at minus half a stroke. So that's one. I really think that Ricky is in for another good day, another 3 under. something like that, and gets to 8, that number Ben and I talked about on Wednesday. I think Ricky gets to 8 or 9 today, and Day is going to have to come out and play really well. So those were the 2 off the top of my head. One more, though, because Sergio Garcia is basically going out and complaining again. What a surprise. But he thinks his game is in a horrible, horrible spot. He's going up against Fleetwood today. I might just take that he's just in such a negative mindset and take Fleetwood, who played better. We've seen him play fantastic. So I like Fleetwood minus 115 for the half a stroke.
I like that Fleetwood call. I like looking at the 3 balls as well. I know, Ben, you just mentioned one.
Oh, yeah.
Grillo's in a 3 ball with Olesen and Ryan Fox, and he's only a minus 110. That kind of seems too good to be true that he's only that small of a favorite with that group.
Yeah, Olesen can get hot, right?
That's really it.
That's why, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Ryan Fox, I like him as a player. This is just the worst course for him. He's a extreme bomber. Olesen, that whole group, they're more of a calm conditions attack. So that's not bad. There's a couple, honestly. I don't even. So CT Pan was by far my biggest disappointment of the week. He just clearly didn't have it. I'm not really sure why. I like the course for him. You look at his 3 ball, he's plus 160 against Brandon Wu and Abraham Answer, who are 2 guys that I'm not really high on at all. I know Pan is pretty much out of it at this point. I still think that his game really should, maybe a hard reset today. If he played even decent, he would be the favorite in that group. There's no doubt about it. So, you can take that one of 2 ways, but plus 160, not the worst line I've ever seen.
Yeah, and he actually did something very similar at the PGA, and I was high on him there too. I just thought he could hit every fairway, and he ended up hitting none. He shot 9 over, I think, on Thursday, and actually bounced back on Friday and shot 1 under. So maybe you see something similar there, just so he can, save face a little bit. So I think that's a pretty good call. The Grillo one, what is the Fleetwood 3-ball matchup, Ben? If you
that's a real tough group. Obviously, you got Decky in there.
Forget it. Never mind. I would just fade Sergio there if you can find a Decky Sergio line in a Fleetwood Sergio line. Honestly, I would just take it. I mean, he sounded real bad, and when Sergio gets like that, one hole and he's done. And that's the nice thing. This isn't match play, right? If he ends up with a quad on a hole and shoots 2 over today, and your guys go out and shoot even, that's kind of what I'm playing for. I think Sergio comes back. I think he makes the cut, but I don't think he shoots under, and I think that Fleetwood and Decky both have a really good chance of shooting under today.
Yeah, it's a tough group. Yeah, all 3 are plus money for what it's worth, as they should be. That's a tough one to navigate, and we'll see. Last one I'll mention, if you think that DJ gets it together, he's basically even money against Phil and Graham McDowell. I'm not. It doesn't scream value to me, but I do think this is the day for DJ. If he doesn't get in the hunt, it's going to be tough sledding for him to be 8-9 shots back.
All right, Jordan, I got one more before I get out of here. You want it? This one's really deep though. All right, so this guy I'm about to bring up has gone through local and sectional qualifying for 5 out of the last 7 years. This means he's played in 5 out of the last 7.
Andy Pope in the gang?
Andy Pope, minus 115 against Ryan Sullivan. He's actually made the cut in 2 of the 5 too, so played okay yesterday. Yeah, I'll go for Andy Pope, honestly, against Ryan Sullivan. He seems like he knows the course a little bit and has some theory. So I'll give that one before I get on out of here. Unless you want anything else from me, Jordan.
Nice. Well, before you do go, I got 2 questions for you. Number 1, give us, odds aside, who do you think is going to take this down? And then number 2, answer that, and then I'll ask the final question to you.
All right. Okay. So Hart says Ricky, but the mind says it's probably either going to be either Justin Rose or Xander. They're putting so good. Rory has probably my next one. I'm out on Koepka. He's not putting good enough for me this week.
Okay. Well, we'll rip that clip, put on Twitter, tell everybody what the master thinks. Last question. I'm sure you saw our boy Biergaard yesterday. Ben had to tell me how to pronounce his name correctly, so I think I got it right.
Yeah, you did.
He tossed his driver, I believe, into the drink
into the Pacific. He put it towards the. So I didn't see the video. I asked for it on Twitter, and no one could find it. If anyone watching the show, I would love
We'll
to
have
see
to find it.
It was a 13, and then it became an 11. I'm not sure why. There was a little bit of a rules controversy with it, but he did toss his driver in. He put, I think, 3 off the tee, if I'm not mistaken, in.
But my real question is, as the golfer, have you ever done that before? Have you ever either broken a club, thrown a club into a drink, anything like that?
There was this one I was playing. I was playing really good, and I had like 185 in, so I had a 5-iron, and I just sculled it right into the pond, like right in, like no chance. I took one massive swipe at my bag and broke 4 clubs in one swipe. Driver, 3 wood. 5-iron and hybrid. I'm 6-iron, all gone. Just all had to be reshafted or replaced.
Expensive swing.
Yeah, very expensive.
Thomas Peters. Now, if you're looking for club throws, and we talked about him today, Emiliano Grillo's club throw at Ben. You might know the
somewhere in Florida.
I think it's the Honda or I don't know.
Players, yeah.
Just YouTube Emiliano Grillo club throw. It's unbelievable. It's the best one I've ever seen. So
yeah, there's some good ones out there.
I'll get out of here with that one.
All right, Jason. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, check out my the showdown content as well if you are into DFS or even betting too, just to see that people that I like. Of course, I put up the model and Ben's got some stuff as well. So cheers everybody.
Take care.
Thanks, Jason. All right, Ben.
All right.
I guess we should ask then. What are you thinking? Who as of right now, who do you got?
It's nice to be able to say this, at least for the time being. I picked Rose before the tournament, so obviously I will be sticking with my Justin Rose outrights. And
Solid.
We'll see. I don't – when you putt like that, you should be leading. So I don't buy too much into that, honestly.
Yeah.
Obviously, though.
Putting was incredible yesterday.
Once it finished, though, I flicked on that game. What a game last night, just turning it to NBA. One of the better games I've seen in a long time. Just, I didn't want it to end. I had no rooting interest, and it was just unbelievable.
I don't know where do we start. I'm not even sure what to talk about first. There's so many ramifications with the injuries, with free agency. I do want to talk. I don't know if you even realize the draft is less than a week away, which snuck up on us.
I did realize that, obviously, because the Knicks are just the Knicks, but it's been one of the most memorable NBA weeks ever. Just insane. Things that will reshape the league for many, many years.
Yeah.
Obviously with KD, with Clay, who, I was convinced he was really hurt, and then I was convinced he was fine, and now he obviously is really hurt.
Yeah.
Crazy. Because at one point, not that I know this is the best place to start, but I didn't think they were going to foul. He made the 2 free throws, and I didn't know if they were going to intentionally foul there, and they were going to let him play through it. Obviously, that wouldn't have been possible with a torn ACL.
It seemed like they didn't want to foul. I think Marcus kind of fouled on his own, and they were already in the bonus, and everybody's saying, "What are you doing? Clay wants to play." The whole situation was pretty insane. It kind of is a Willis Reed moment for you as a Knicks fan, although you're way too young to even know what that is, probably. But
yeah, that's few and far between. It was. Yeah, I'm more thinking of Paul Pierce in the wheelchair. It's a
classic one.
Unbelievable, and obviously now I guess the reasonable question is, where do the Warriors go from here? I mean, I don't know. Next year, they're not going to have either of them, even if they kept it together. So
no. so really, yeah. What did the Warriors do? I still think they're gonna. Both KD and Clay are gonna get max offers. There's no question, right? So the question is, can Golden State pay one or two of them, somehow fill out a roster to even make the playoffs? Is that crazy to say? They may not make the playoffs if they just have a similar roster. Boogie's a free agent. What are they going to do with him? Iguodala may not come back. He might be done. Livingston might retire. It's Steph and Draymond.
Yeah, and that's a lot of wear and tear. Like, there's, Steph and Draymond, all it takes, we saw this year, all it takes is another, you don't want to bank on injuries, but it's wide open. And I do think, turning the page for the betting side of it, obviously, this is the most wide open the Western Conference has been in a long time. Obviously the Lakers, maybe they get AD, maybe they don't. Portland, obviously the Nuggets are up and coming. OKC, there is a lot of teams that I wouldn't be stunned, A, to get the 1 seed, and B, to end up, I know there's a long time from now, but who comes out of the West next year, it's not a foregone conclusion by any stretch.
Yeah, it seems like it has been for so long, and I could talk about this for hours on end. Let's just keep talking. They did already release the 2020 odds, of course, that right on cue. I know a couple different sites have, and the Warriors are not the favorite, which seems obvious, I think, given what's happened. They're the second favorite, which actually kind of surprises me. I think that's just kind of nature of the beast. 5 straight finals. They know their books are going to get a lot of money on the Warriors. The Bucks are the favorite as of right now. Lakers are tied with the Warriors, and that is so in flux.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen there? The Rockets are 8-1, Nuggets 12, Clippers 14. That's an interesting one, depending what you think about Mr. Leonard, NBA Finals MVP. Will he leave?
Yeah, that's obviously. I mean, that's what's so fascinating right now. The odds are implied based on guys who aren't on a lot of these teams. The Clippers' value is Kawhi.
Yeah.
Now we'll see. It's what are the Nets, just as an extreme dark horse?
Not that dark. 25.
See, that's
for them is pretty crazy.
Yeah, like if they were 50 to, I know everyone throws shade on Kyrie, and for good reason, but he's certainly still a damn good player. We'll see. I mean, it's just been unreal, and good for Masai Ujiri. I don't know if the Wizards will get him. Obviously, they're offering, I heard, ownership equity and everything under the sun to try to rebuild that dumpster fire.
Yeah, I like the timing of that tweet from Adrian the Wojbomb. Is literally like 2 minutes after they won the title, or he was up on the podium and he drops that nugget.
Yep, they don't waste any time. But
what would you think a month ago or before the lottery? Let's say it was about a month ago, and now I tell you the Knicks and the Nets have the same odds to win it all next year.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You would have told me I'm crazy.
Would have told you I'm crazy. I would have told you maybe the Knicks landed Zion. But I don't know. The problem with the Knicks, they need multiple. Like, they can't just get one of these guys.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I would have thought they would have been more of a favorite, basically, have a lower price, just because, okay, we're going to win the lottery. We're getting KD. We're getting Kyrie. Everybody was on this bandwagon.
I just don't know where. Not that anybody cares about the Knicks, nor should they at this point. But it's just like it just feels like they're going to get. KD mystery maybe, and then like obviously RJ Barrett. I don't know. It's just unbelievable how the NBA has flourished. I know there's a lot of I don't want to say backlash, but with the players taking control, the league should love it though. I mean, the drama in the off season, it doesn't even take a step back. It's almost more intriguing in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think it is honestly more intriguing, except maybe for the last few weeks, because the playoffs did get pretty crazy and kind of gave us an outcome we weren't expecting, which doesn't happen very often in the NBA. And that is one of the biggest criticisms. I mean, I love the NBA. It doesn't bother me, but they do get some heat for that.
Yeah, obviously I don't have a better solution, but when you have 16 teams making the playoffs, obviously, the upper echelon don't really have to sweat. They're going to be in there. It's just jockeying for position. But I mean, if this year it just shows even the most invincible team, and injury is great equalizer, and it happens. Obviously, the Warriors just wore down, and I mean, I'm not a Warriors guy. I actually really dislike them, and I found myself almost rooting for them just because I thought this is the most I've ever appreciated Draymond Green in my whole life. They really gutted and really battled against just a superior opponent at the end there.
Yeah. It's funny. I think the narrative completely flipped, and I think a lot of people were rooting for the Warriors as the underdog, basically, especially when Klay goes out last night and everything that he's gone through. I mean, he's been injured. He missed a game in the series. Iguodala has been injured for most of the series. Obviously, KD didn't play much at all. Played a quarter essentially of the series. It is kind of crazy that Golden State. I mean, they're right in the game. That easily could have won yesterday. We could be talking about a game 7.
Couple free throws. Obviously, if Steph makes that shot, it's and it's crazy, and it's what's great about sports. Obviously, I think people this is a whole different show, but there's so much variance. It changes legacies based on ridiculous outside
Yeah.
circumstances. But man, what an NBA season! Not one I think anybody saw coming. It's just great.
Yeah, it is. I've got real quick here just kind of a timeline of the Raptors odds throughout the season.
Oh wow.
They were 18-1 before the season started. Let's see. When they lost game one, well, going into the playoffs, they were 10-1.
Mm-hmm.
They lose game one to Orlando, and that dropped to 14-1. Not sure why that loss would have really moved the needle, but other interesting one is down 2-0 to the Bucks. They were 20-1, and that's the best price.
And it's nice to say that your co-host here had a little sliver of them in that exact spot.
Excellent.
There's one good thing I did, and it was just I had them to beat the Bucks, had them to beat there. Obviously, I bought out a good amount of it on the other side with the Warriors, but Raptors, yeah, resilient bunch. I feel bad for DeMar DeRozan, not gonna lie, but it's what are you gonna do? And yeah, it's been fascinating to see people. It's just the overreactions to speak to that point, because I certainly am where I was like, oh, I love the Raptors, they're winning this. I was floored at how high the odds were. That was the only reason I even took a stab at it. And it's team, the Celtics smoked the Bucks, and I was guilty of this. Oh my God, it's over. Then the Bucks are unbeatable. Then it's just the swings of based on one game in a 7-game series has just been really advantageous to kind of step back and take advantage of it.
Yeah, the recency bias is so strong in the NBA, and it's similar with the NFL, where I think you can really get a lot of betting opportunities based on that because it is so public driven, the market. So you see it in the NFL, you see it in the NBA. Like, those numbers are way too high. They're just too inflated. When they're down 2-0 to the Bucks, when they're down to the Sixers, everyone thought that series was over. I don't think anybody panicked when they lost to Orlando game one, but you get the idea that these values will pop up when they shouldn't be as high as they are.
Absolutely. And NFL, we will be talking NFL soon enough. I cannot wait.
Can't wait.
When I've been trying to wait, but I've been peeking at the win totals, peeking at the division odds just for that. Obviously, looking at the Heisman odds, college football's August, so
yeah,
we'll get that on tap. But anything else you want to dig into? We do have some soccer.
We do have some soccer. I wanted to ask you just real quickly, because I do have some NBA draft props that I'm gonna throw at you real quick without any prep on your part.
That's all right.
One that really jumps out to me is over-under on draft position. Darius Garland at over-under is 5.5. I'm definitely liking the under. A lot of it, of course, depends on what happens in the draft, because Lakers have the 4 pick. They're trying to trade to get AD. Like, that pick may go to somewhere else, so it's hard to really say that. But
it's one of these situations. Yeah, obviously, when you can't project unless it's pretty imminent trade. People want to trade out of the picks and whatnot with AD. But yeah, I mean, that's a guy, I think one of the more polarizing options in the whole draft, obviously, Vandy kid. I don't know. The NBA draft, I go back and forth with that. I love it and then I hate it, because it's just, we anoint these people. I mean, Zion, obviously, that it's amazing to me, and I get it, but again, I hate it, of how valuable he already is. I mean, the offers of what you could unload for that pick based on, and I think Zion's going to be good, but I'm still not, I don't know if he's transcendent as much as everyone else says. Honestly, I kind of envy the Grizzlies almost. They're just chilling. They have Ja Morant locked up, and I think he's going to be a cornerstone of that franchise.
I like him a lot on that team, and whether Conley's there or not, I think it's still going to be a great fit, and he can learn from Conley if he is there. I mean, it seems like it's almost foregone, right? Zion, Ja, and then RJ Barrett's going to go 3.
Seems that way, yeah.
I also see, very interestingly, and I don't know, I mean, I see that it's accurate. I don't quite understand, but Jarrett Culver and DeAndre Hunter over-under is 4.5.
Yep.
They both can't go number 4, can they?
That would be very intriguing if that works. Yeah, I mean, 2 guys we saw, highlighted in the national championship game. Culver, to me, is I'd be more apt to lean over there, to be honest. I think his skill set translates. DeAndre Hunter, I don't know. These are guys, but it's not even about that. That's the other thing. It's not, I have a tough time with the draft, I think, because I watch so much college basketball and I look at through the lens of there, and the NBA scouts are looking, in 5 years, what is this guy to our team? And that's a lot of times it doesn't gel because, in college systems, you're playing for Virginia, you're not really getting the full potential of what he could be. And it's the same with Culver at Texas Tech.
Yeah, I think you've seen that a lot with some of these Kentucky guys over the years. Like Jamal Murray is a good example, or Devin Booker. Yeah, like they're good college players, but you just don't get the full scope of how amazing they are just because their team is so good or their system.
And just on the flip side of that, Michael Beasley's probably in the top 5 best college players I've ever seen.
Definitely
He was averaging like 30 and 20. OJ Mayo, another one.
Yeah,
dominant. And that's to your point. You think, oh my God, they're going to be unbelievable in the NBA, but it's like it's just a different animal. A lot of the integral parts they're not needed to do in college because they're just going out there and scoring almost like a high school mentality.
Yeah, I won't throw any difficult math questions at you, but there is a prop for Duke players in the top 5. So obviously you have Zion and RJ Barrett. So the over/under is 2.5. Yeah. So whether Cam will be in the top 5, if you're going under 2.5, meaning he's not in the top 5, it's -500. Some pretty heavy juice there. It seems like obviously is the right side, but
it's hard to imagine. I mean, I guess you never know if a team falls in love with him, but yeah, I don't see that happening. Much like the books don't see that happening.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's a ton more you can dig into. But like we said, it is next Thursday, which seems like it really did sneak up on us. But there is a lot of cool opportunities to bet on it, to follow it. It's still an exciting time of year. We kind of keep repeating that, but there's always something going on.
It's great. No, I mean, obviously, like I said, the NBA has found a way to keep everybody engaged. The finals just ended, and immediately the draft is always a spectacle. Summer League will be coming. It really never ends in the basketball world.
Yeah, Summer League is a lot of fun for anybody looking to need an excuse to go out to Vegas, but that is an incredible experience. I've done it a few times.
Chill, yeah.
You're in a high school gym watching NBA caliber players. You see everybody there. It's really cool.
Maybe I'll do that. I've never been to the Summer League.
It's worth the trip. I would recommend it. You would love it for sure.
Sign me up.
Okay, so last thing, there's an article on the site where you broke down a little bit of a preview for the Women's World Cup, and I know we wanted to hit on it for a minute or two here and kind of get into your brain as to what you've seen, any kind of value betting groups, anything like that at this point. Have you been following it pretty closely?
I have, so obviously I'd be certainly lying if I said I had a pulse on Women's World Cup before it started, but I've watched a bunch of the games. Obviously, I've been betting it, so I did that research. And what I really thought, I was thinking about this because I knew we were going to talk about it. I honestly think it correlates decently well in the French Open aspect of when we were talking about the men's side. We were saying, you can find some value, but there is a couple guys that are just so much better than everyone else. Whereas on the women's side, it's kind of to me like the Men's World Cup where, there's some good teams, but, we saw Germany. They didn't even get out of the group. That can happen. But this is a situation, you have a handful of teams, obviously with the U.S., it's really, they're in the group stage right now. It's prepping for the knockout stage. They're going to demolish Chile. They'll have a good test against Sweden, and we'll see. And I think you can even see that. So what caught my eye was in Group C, Australia, they got upset by Italy early, and I immediately jumped on them to win that group still. They rebounded nicely against Brazil, and now Italy will play Jamaica, but we'll see. They're going to get Jamaica, Australia will, in the last leg, who's the weak link in that group. And I think you can kind of take advantage of the best teams kind of are going to rise to the top in these groups. There's not going to be a ton of upsets where you see, one of the big powers not make it to that knockout stage.
It's a really interesting comparison to the Women's French Open and the men's, and my limited knowledge, and I've been following it, but I think you make a really good point that I don't think we're going to see a ton of upsets.
No, it's so, appealing when you're looking, you're like, oh my God, this team is like 40-1 to win the group.
Yeah.
But there's just it's not a disparity that can be overcome by some of these countries. They're just not there yet.
Yeah.
And it's similar, again, just to bring it to the French Open. You look at Nadal in these early rounds to win in straight sets. He's minus 1,000, and you're like, oh my god! But it's a different animal. So I look, and it'll be exciting. Obviously, I want to see Group E. Canada and the Netherlands got off to quick starts. They won't meet to the third match. I feel like they're both going to have 6 points. And one thing to note, and I honestly wasn't super aware of the format, but when I broke it down, I noticed it's not the same in the sense that there will be third place teams from some of the groups that make it to the knockout stages. So that it's similar to like Euro Cup and whatnot, so there's a lot to play for. Even if a team gets off to a rough start, you can grab 3 points, and even if you don't advance as one of the top two, you may grab one of the wild card spots and still make it to the next round.
So that's different than the Men's World Cup, right? Because that's only top 2 in each group.
Absolutely. So there's not enough groups here. So that's basically what they do. The men's side, it's 8 groups of 4,
Gotcha.
top 2 from each. Here, that's not the case. It's only 6 groups. So they take those 12 teams, they add in 4 wild cards to make up their 16.
And one of the things we haven't talked about soccer betting at all, right? But there is 3-way betting where the ties are in play. Are you betting these 3-way lines? Are you finding just kind of win-loss 2-way lines?
Yeah, so you have, depending on your book, obviously there's different options. You can bet it with a 3-way, open your way. If it's a draw, you lose. You can take worse odds and bet draw is a void. So basically, you're incurring less risk there. I'm more apt to just take the risk and say, you know what, if I have a line on a team, I look at the position too. That's important in these group stages. If like Australia is, I think, the perfect example. They lost 2-1 to Italy, and they're a good team. They went out against Brazil, and they needed 3 points. I thought that was really important. You saw the score 3-2. They really opened up the game. They were not content grabbing a point. Now, if they had won that first match, I'm not saying they didn't want to win, but grabbing another point and getting to 4 total wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So just getting the mentality of what each team wants to do is really important when you're looking at those draw lines.
Yeah, that is really important to try and understand the motivation. Are there any games that jump out to you over the next couple of days? I know you mentioned U.S. plays Chile, and I'm sure they're minus 4,500. But I did see with the U.S. Thailand that there was I think the spread was 5 goals, which obviously didn't come into play when you win 13-0. But have you seen lines for a spread? I guess I don't see it here, but I'm sure.
Yeah, so the U.S. is 4.5 goals over Chile, and that's something. It's interesting. I was wondering what would happen if it would react to Thailand. I think Chile's a little better, and then on the other side, I think where we saw the reaction, Sweden is actually 6 goals favorite over Thailand, and goal differential is really important. So maybe they do go out and try to run it up. That was a little surprising to me. Probably not anything I'm really gonna jump on. There was, I think, an interesting matchup that couple days. South Korea and Norway, all the way back in Group A. France kind of took control, but Norway is a team that I think is quality side. Obviously, France beat them 2-1, but that's no shame in that. They get South Korea in the last game. I have a feeling they do what they can to take that home. They're a favorite, pretty sizable, about minus 200 I see on my screen. But that's a team that I actually like as not one of the favorites, but I've been impressed with what I've seen so far from them.
Okay, that's one I will definitely take a look at. So that is on, I think, Monday.
Yeah. That will be the first group to complete all 3 games.
Okay.
So where we currently stand, France has 6 points. Norway and Nigeria both have 3. South Korea has no points. And the thing I like about the spot is South Korea, obviously, they have to get 3 points. So they're really going to open themselves up. And that's where I think Norway can attack and probably exploit a team that, they were handled by Nigeria. I have a feeling South Korea walks away with no points in that group.
Yeah, that seems right. Is there anything else that you're looking at? Are there? I mean, like you said, it's hard to find value to actually win the whole World Cup, right? Because there are just so few heavy favorites. it's hard to really find value otherwise.
It really is. I mean, what I think is, just like most things, take a look, try to watch some games. You're going to get a sense of how these teams are at, because when the knockout stage comes, seeding is going to be important. We'll kind of see where these teams, land. And those are the games, where we get out of the group stage or the third legs of the groups. We'll see how these second games finish up with scenarios of who needs what, maybe exploit that. But there's a lot going on. And then, real quick, the Gold Cup is going on as well for the men, and that's North America. So we have some matches teeing off tonight. We got Haiti and Bermuda, all the powers. So there's plenty of soccer out there if you're looking.
I feel like there always is. If you're looking to bet soccer, there's always something going on. Any picks on any of these games tonight?
I mean, this is the opening round, and obviously they let everybody in. There's some really, really tough sides. I mean, Haiti's a sizable favorite.
Yeah,
is showing you all you need to know. I mean, if I had to pick a team, I don't see many ways that Canada loses tonight. They play Martinique. It's not as juiced as you would think. And again, what you can do with that, maybe you pair them up with another one, someone like Costa Rica. You shrink it to minus 150-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Don't incur a ton of risk. But all in all, these early stages, you're not going to find many lines that are coin flips at this point.
Yeah, right. That's for sure. Definitely in these early stages. I guess anything else this weekend that's catching your eye? We didn't talk about hockey. Hockey's obviously over. NBA is over. We are kind of winding down into the dog days, but as we've said, there's so much going on. We'll always find something to talk about.
Oh, no doubt. No, I mean this weekend it's the U.S. Open. That is where it's at.
Front and center.
I'll be looking at these soccer matches. Knockout stage is something I definitely want to talk about as we get going. And then, you know what? I've held out as long as we can. We'll talk some baseball, but football will be around the corner. I'm going to dig in. There's been a lot of changes, and you can, as books start to release, and this is something maybe, we might put some evergreen content on. A lot of books, they release lines for week one or like marquee games for college football. And you're going to see, I mean, if you take a screenshot of those lines now, and then when these games kick off, there's a ton of value if you really can get on some of them. So I'm definitely planning on jumping on some lines early and hoping to steal a couple points.
Yeah, you can definitely find some good edges there. They do the same with the NFL, but I think it's a little harder to maybe dig in and figure out kind of how a team's going to look right now. But you can definitely find value, and certainly when you're comparing, down the road odds to what it was when it opened, it kind of works both ways. But we definitely
bad numbers in there too. There's no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of bad numbers in there. But yeah, that's a cool opportunity. We'll definitely get into that. We should talk about baseball, like you said, at some point.
Sure.
Maybe when it's halfway through the season. We're getting close to All-Star break and almost halfway through. So we'll hit on that. Any final thoughts? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up and we'll talk next week.
No, obviously, let's go golfers. Get it done. It's going to be a wild, wild day of cut sweats. Yeah. And then we'll see. I think it's important. Study that course, see how it plays. This is going to feel to me like two separate tournaments, I have a feeling, when all is said and done. So like the show, find us on Slack if you have any questions. A lot of good content in there, and we'll keep chugging along.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, make sure to like us. That does help us out. And, ring that bell, get those notifications going, and definitely helps us out. So we do appreciate that. Have a great weekend, Ben.
You too. See you next week.
Bye-bye.